Thanks so much today for joining us for today's webinar, Submitting a 2025 Elite Award Nomination. I'm Melissa Emden. I'm the Programs and Education Director here at ALCC. Wanting to let you know that this session is being recorded for the best audio quality. All attendees are muted. So if you haven't already, I think I muted everyone, but make sure you're muted. If you have a question, please go ahead and type it in the chat. I'll answer questions at the end of the webinar, and we'll unmute everyone at that time. So if you have a question, go ahead and save it. Or if something comes up during the presentation, please go ahead and type it out in the chat. So today's webinar is intended to provide an overview of the Elite Award program and submission process. I hope this kind of helps to give you some insight into the process, into the program, and prepare a quality nomination that we can review and have evaluated and hopefully recognize you as an Elite Award winner this year. So go ahead and move on here. Just a quick history of the program. ALCC has had an awards program for more than 60 years. It's had various iterations and program changes over time. It was called the Excellence in Landscape Awards program for a very long time. About probably 10 or 15 years ago, we've changed the program to be named Elite Awards, which stands for Elevating the Landscape Industry Through Excellence. And really, the idea of having an awards program helps kind of elevate your company as a member and the association in overall, really focusing on sort of the professionalism in the industry, excellence and sound business practices, sound execution of projects, sustainability, and environmental consciousness, and being a good steward of the environment. So that's the focus of the program, and really kind of the idea is to elevate the industry, elevate companies that are participating through submitting their projects, and the association overall to kind of have sort of a way to recognize excellence. Go ahead and move on here. I just wanted to give you a quick update on sort of the current program and award categories. We did recently, I guess several years ago, review the program in 2021. So we made some changes back in 2021, really focusing on increasing accessibility while maintaining the rigor. So we wanted to make sure that this program was accessible to companies that really have any size. So smaller operations up to the larger companies, to really be able to make the program be something you can participate in at all levels. So, but we do want to make sure that we have the rigor of the evaluation process and the criteria that we're evaluating against, and making sure that we're not just handing out awards to anyone in projects that may not necessarily deserve that because they haven't followed those sound best practices. So we do have 9 current program award categories. A lot of these program categories are often divided into commercial and residential subcategories, as well as project budget. So each award category listed here, with the exception of innovation and MVP, which I'll get to later, but each award category or subcategory has a gold, silver, and bronze award winner. So those are sort of the 3 levels: the gold, silver, and bronze. I'm going to go ahead and quickly review each of these categories here, just sort of so you're understanding what the award category is, so you can start thinking of projects for each individual award category if that's something you're interested in. So starting with the Design Build Award or category, that is for entries that are landscape design and installation. So really we're focusing on both the design aspect and the installation portion. That these must be designed by either an in-house landscape architect or designer and constructed by the company submitting the project. Again, both commercial and residential properties fall under this. Typical entries for this particular category would be either something like the design and construction of a new residential home build, complete renovation of existing residential or commercial landscape, or design and construction of a commercial or public space. So those are kind of some ideas of potential entries. Moving on to the landscape construction category, this category focuses on the installation, so just the construction portion. The design is not necessarily part of this award category, but really we're looking for landscape installation or renovation that exemplifies quality workmanship with best management practices. And sort of typical entries would be the construction of a new residential or commercial landscape or the complete renovation of the existing residential or commercial landscape. So moving on here, sustainability. This focuses on sustainable landscape solutions applied in a project. Let's see here. Specific projects would be renovation of a commercial or residential landscape involving sustainable practices, introduction of sustainable practices to a public or community space, or sustainable solutions for a site. Plant design. This is one of our newer categories. If you have been involved in our organization in this award process for a while, you may have been familiar with the previous category, which was use of color. We've kind of modified this category over time and have developed it into kind of more of a plant design. So we're looking at, let's see here, entries submitted in this category should be for a project demonstrating effective plant design and use of color in all season interest. We're also looking to kind of this category, the nomination form for this category also covers sort of how that design was communicated into the client and work through that design process. So you'll notice if that's something you're interested in, there's some questions specifically about working with the client and communicating that design. So be watching for that if you're interested in that category. Typical entries in this category include gardens as part of a residential or commercial property, container or low water use gardens. Let's see, irrigation management is focusing specifically on irrigation. Entries submitted in this category should be for a project demonstrating superior water savings as a result of making irrigation efficiency upgrades and landscape changes. Typical entries would include a renovation of an existing residential or commercial property to include the irrigation system, construction of a new property, including irrigation system. You do need to provide data on water conservation as part of this category, so keep that in mind if that's something you're interested in. Community stewardship is a category that, let's see here, entries in this category should demonstrate leadership through dedication and contribution to the good of the community. Typical entries in this category would be improving or maintaining a public or school garden, projects to improve community landscapes or landscapes at a nonprofit or community service, construction of a memorial garden, charity walk or run, or other community service projects. So this is going to focus primarily on a project that your company would do to improve the community or to contribute to the greater community. So the last two categories here are sort of no fee required categories, and these are, the first one is innovation. So we're really looking to recognize entries in this category that offer a creative solution to a problem, either with existing customers within your neighborhood, on a project site, any of those kinds of things that's an innovative solution would be eligible to be submitted in this category. There is no entry fee for this award. And likewise, the last category here is MVP. So this is a category that actually recognizes a person within your organization, not necessarily a project, but really a person that goes above and beyond and making an exceptional contribution through their involvement, leadership, and ability to make a difference in your company. So the last two categories, like I mentioned, are no fee required. Everything, all the entries that are submitted in this category, as long as they're eligible, are recognized with the award. All of the other categories here do require a $150 entry fee. All right, let's move forward here. So what kind of project should you submit? For the categories that are basically anything besides the MVP and innovation categories, we're looking for projects that are at least 6 months old. We want to see that the installation, the plantings that were done when the project was completed have kind of taken hold. So we want to make sure that something that's at least 6 months old, but no more than 5 years since installation. We are looking for, let's see here, you are not able to submit something that's awarded, that's received an award previously through this program. So if you submitted a project last year and it received a finalist status or a winner status, unfortunately, you're not able to enter that again this year, which is a new project. For that, we are asking that projects can be answered in only one category per year. So if you have a project that you're submitting, choose a category for it. You can't submit it in multiple categories. However, your company can submit multiple projects in the same category. So if you've got a couple projects that you're doing, You can certainly submit those projects in the same category if you would like. Just be aware that they'll be competing against each other. So you're kind of, making that choice that they'll be competing against each other in that same category. See here. Your company must complete a majority of the work on a project in order to submit it. So just keep that in mind. We're looking for probably 75% of the project being done by a company that submits. You have to also be an ALCC member for that. So any and all subcontractors must be disclosed in the nomination form. And then if you have a joint entry, for example, if you're submitting in the design build category and your company did the installation and you had another company do the design, you can submit that project as a joint entry between the two companies, but they both must be ALCC members in order to have that be an eligible entry. And then again, MVP and innovation categories do not require a fee. All eligible entries receive the honor. It's really a good way to get involved in the process if you're new to the to ALCC or the awards process and you kind of want to dip your toe in and see what it's all about. These are good ways to both recognize something great that you're doing in your company or a staff member that's been doing great things in your company, just to kind of see how it goes. Maybe some of the other categories might be more interesting as you kind of get into the first start of the process. But these are good ways to kind of dip your toe in the water, if you will. Moving on here, talking a little bit about the submission and the review process. Let's see here. In order to start, you'll start the process by completing the nomination form. We have all these linked on our website. If you go to the webpage alcc.com/awards, you'll see the listing of the project categories there. If you click on the link, the title of the category, you'll get bumped over to the nomination form for that category, so you can see what it looks like. The nomination forms are asking a couple questions. First about the just sort of information about your company, things like that. Then we'll get into more information about the project here. And then you'll move into describing the project a little bit. Let me go ahead and pull up a nomination form here just as we're kind of getting into things. Let me see if I can share my screen and we can show what we've got here. Bigger. All right, hopefully you can see here, this is what an entry form looks like. There's some information about the guidelines and procedures, the judging criteria. Really make a note of this judging criteria because this is exactly what the judges or the evaluators will be looking for in your entry. So just really make sure that you're addressing those things within your nomination form here. Again, you'll get we're asking for some company information, just sort of some demographic information about your company. We'll skip through to this. Of course, this is going to be. Let me go ahead and move over to showing you some information on the next page. Oh, let's see if I can answer. Hang tight here real quick. Let's come back to this and I will show you this in just a little bit. Let me go ahead and go back to our slides here. So it will ask for some project information. Let me go ahead and pull this up here while I'm talking. Then you'll want to get into the photos. Most projects, we are asking for about 10 to 12 photos. And you want to make sure that those photos are good quality. Many photos from past award winners and finalists are from a professional photographer. It's not required, but it really gives you those high quality photos. No Photoshop or filters on that. If you do use a professional photographer that's outside of your company, we just ask for their contact information for photo credits as part of the nomination form, so be watching for that. Once you complete the nomination form and get your photos up there, we'll ask you to submit the entry fee. The form will actually ask you to fill that out, or there's a link to pay that as far as in a link in the nomination form, so watch for that. If you don't submit the entry form and you do submit the nomination form with the photos, I'll follow up with you to get the entry fee, so don't worry about that. The deadline to submit nomination forms for this year is August 15th. So that is the date. We'll need to have all the nomination forms completed. I know it's kind of during the busy time of the year, but in order to get everything ready for our submission process and evaluation process, we will need them by August 15th. Once that date passes, we have sort of a group of industry volunteer judges that have been in the industry for a while, evaluate the submissions anonymously. That process kind of happens in late August all the way through September. I'm going to say by end of September, early October, we'll notify you if your project made it to the finalist stage or not. And then we do announce the category winners at the Elite Award reception. So if you're notified as a finalist, it's great to be able to work on that, being able to attend that reception on November 12th, because we'll announce the winners there. So be watching for that. So we do need volunteers for Elite Award judges. We are looking for folks the roles, or the sort of the description for this award, this volunteer opportunity is really industry volunteers that have probably at least 5 years of experience in the industry and are kind of at that project manager or above level. We really want folks that kind of have been able to manage projects and coordinate projects at a high level to be able to participate in this process. But we are looking for sort of 3 per category. If you're interested, interested folks are able to just reach out to me, and then we'll kind of work on what category might be the best fit for you if this is something you're interested in. But we will assign them to an award category that best matches their sort of experience in the field. It's an anonymous process, so entries are sent to judges electronically, and we complete all the evaluations independently. So each individual reviewer will look at the projects individually. There's not sort of a group project or group gathering where they all look at them together. It's all done individually. The entries are blinded, so all that company information is stripped out. Identifying information is removed, and they just kind of look at the project title, and it's evaluated independently. Please contact me if you're interested in that. Here are some good resources, and this is kind of where I'm going to get into some of the tips and tricks as far as submitting entries. I will revisit that awards entry form in just a minute here once I get it pulled up. But the website is a really great resource, alcc.com/awards. You can see the previous year's award winners are good. Really good. We have sort of some summaries and video clips of previous year's award winners. So please watch that if you can, especially for the project categories you're interested in submitting in. Make sure you read the award category descriptions completely, and really make sure that you've got your project meets those criteria. If you have any questions, contact me. Let me go ahead and hang out just a second here, and I will pull up one of the nomination forms here in a different version so you can see the full thing. But I just kind of wanted to go through the entry form and just make sure that we're covering, we've got sort of, we cover things appropriately here. So let me pull this up and then I'll share my screen. Hang tight for just a second here. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to share my screen. Hang tight. Sorry for the delay here. Hopefully you can see my screen here that has the nomination form again. Again, here's the company information. The second page really gets into the project information. We asked for the location, property owner name. You do not necessarily have to fill this out if you want to put it in there. If you're submitting a residential project, I know sometimes there's some anonymity that's required, or that's sort of can go into play there. But if you, I know some property owners are really excited about having their property managed, and we will include the property name on the award if it's received as an award. But that's just something you can include there. We're asking for commercial or residential, new construction or renovation. This is the design build form. So this is where we ask for the landscape designer or architect, the beginning and end date of the contract, landscape budget. This is really important. I mean, it's required to put in here, but we do often subdivide categories by project budget. So that's kind of why we're asking that question. We'll ask about, as I mentioned, the subcontracting items there. This next page on project descriptions is probably the most important to, other than the photos, to be able to fill this out. So we're looking for sort of a concise description of your project here in the first question. This question will ask about this. The next question asks about this, the scale and functionality of the design. And then this next question, I think, is on almost all of the entry forms, but what obstacles or challenges were encountered in project execution? Really make sure that these three questions, you're really focusing on concise and good answers to each of these questions, because these things are the things that sort of differentiate your project from others. So really make sure that when you're answering these questions, you're thoughtfully answering them and making sure you're differentiating your project in some way. Then we're going to move on to the photos. As I mentioned, most photos are about 10 to 12, or most project categories require at least 10 to 12 photos. For, I believe, the design build and the plant design categories, we're also asking for a copy of the landscape plan, just so we can see how that kind of, the plan kind of, moved into sort of execution and installation. Please make sure on the landscape plan that you don't have your company name or logo on it. Same thing with all these, with the photos as well. Since the process is anonymous, you'll want to make sure that as much as you can, make sure that that company name or logo is not included in any of the things that you're submitting. We may have to ask you to take that out. So we just want to make sure that the process is as anonymous as possible. For design build and a lot of the categories, we're asking for 10 to 12 photos. We really want a range of photos at the various stages of completion. So maybe a photo of before the work started, a photo of the work in progress, and then after completion. We want, like I said, a mix of photos, but we want to really have you focus on the completed project, and then a variety of photos from different angles if as possible, in different stages, if at all possible. We just want to kind of see the progression, but really it's going to, the end product is going to be sort of what we're focusing on, but it is nice to see sort of that evolution of the project from beginning to end. Again, no Photoshop or filters. Here's places for you to upload. This last question is about photographer contact information. And then we'll ask for just that you verify that the information is correct and accurate. So that's kind of where that's the entry form. Hopefully that helps kind of give you an idea of what you're looking for. When you're filling this out, I believe you are able to save your information and come back. However, that's not always possible. It's done through cookies. So if you have to clear your cookies on your machine, on your laptop, or if you're using a different machine, I would recommend doing this all in one setting. If you are on our webpage, I believe there's a place where you can look at the questions and prepare your answers to the questions before you go in here and submit. But my recommendation is completing this all in one sitting. Go ahead and stop sharing that and go back to our slides here. We've got some time for questions. That kind of ends sort of my spiel of presentation here of the information. But I want to know what kind of questions, if any of you have any questions at all, feel free to type them in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and quickly unmute folks too, so that you can ask your question if you need to. If you're familiar with the raising your hand, you can certainly do that in Teams here. Please, if you have questions, go ahead and either type them or raise your hand and let me know. I'm I'm happy to send this. Oh, thank you. Thanks, John. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll send this recording out to you afterwards, and it will also be available on our website as well. I'm available if you have any questions. I'll hang out here for just another minute or two and see if you guys have questions. Let's see here. Thank you guys so much for attending this webinar. We will look forward to getting any entries, any and all entries from you. Hopefully we can see a couple from you over the course of this entry period. We do really want to make this accessible for folks. So if you haven't submitted an entry before, certainly consider it. We need to get photos and we need to get the information in the nomination form, but we do try to make that as easy as possible for folks. So let me know if you have any questions along the way. And again, hope to see you submit an entry, and we hope to see you all in November at the award reception. I'm going to go ahead and leave this open for just another minute, and then we'll end for today. But thank you all for being here. Have a great day. Oh, we've got audio and video to the entries. That's a good question, Jeff. The question is, did you all discuss adding audio and video into the entries? So we don't require audio or video for the entries. We do rely on that narrative that's in the nomination form about the project, but we do not require and do not really accept voiceover portions of any of the videos or anything photos or videos. We don't actually require any videos for the maintenance and I believe innovation. Those are something you can submit but not required. We will actually, the question again was that we do actually after, when we get to the award finalist stage, we will actually prepare sort of a voiceover presentation with all the award finalists in the category. So be watching for that. We do, if your project does make it to the award finalist stage, we will kind of share that information with you after, but that's something that we create. Great, I think we've got all of our questions answered at this point. Thank you again for being here. I'm going to go ahead and close this. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. Thanks. Have a great day.